Hey everyone! Today we're diving into something that's been making waves on crypto Twitter, and it's all about XRP scarcity. You've probably seen those Bitcoin maximalists spreading the same old tired narrative. Oh, Ripple will just create more XRP whenever they want. Well, here's the thing that might surprise you. When the music finally stops, whatever XRP you're holding right now, that's all you're ever going to have. This is about to become one of the rarest assets you can own. David Schwartz himself has made this crystal clear. There's literally no way to create more XRP. The code simply doesn't exist for it. The supply is 100% fixed, locked in stone. No new XRP will ever be created, period. Now here's where it gets really interesting. For years, people complained that 100 billion XRP was too many coins. But guess what's happening now? Those same people are starting to realize that 100 billion might not be nearly enough. Remember this iconic image. If you've been an XRP investor for any length of time, you've definitely seen it. The fish jumping out of the Bitcoin bowl straight into the Ripple bowl. Well, folks, I think we're witnessing this exact scenario playing out right before our eyes. We're seeing massive money shifts happening. Funds are flowing out of those Bitcoin ETFs, and where do you think some of that capital is landing? That's right, it's already finding its way into XRP ETFs. Speaking of shifts, did you catch that picture Michael Saylor posted recently? I had to laugh because isn't the captain supposed to go down with the ship? So why is he sitting on a life raft, essentially abandoning Bitcoin? That image tells you everything you need to know. And if you're a retail Bitcoin investor watching this, that should be your wake-up call to run for the hills. Because here's the brutal truth I've been telling you all along. You're not going to beat Saylor to the exit door. You'll end up being the exit liquidity, plain and simple. Let me share something Kevin O'Leary said that makes even more sense today than when he first said it.
Michael Saylor is talking his book, all right? The guy sells stock and pref shares and debt and then buys Bitcoin with it. The stock trades at twice the value of the inherent Bitcoin. That smells like something that ain't going to work long term. Just saying. I like the guy, but it has nothing to do with strategic reserve of Bitcoin, which will never happen because we'll never get buy-off on a bipartisan basis.
He was talking about that so-called strategic Bitcoin reserve. And even O'Leary knows it's never going to happen. All they really said was, hey, we'll just keep the Bitcoin the US government already holds and never sell it. If we confiscate more through criminal activity, we'll lock that away too. But using taxpayer money to buy more Bitcoin? Not happening. Here's a massive red flag. BlackRock clients just sold $473.72 million worth of Bitcoin, the largest outflow in USD since the ETF launched. Why is this happening right now? Because all those institutions, all of BlackRock's major clients, they're already looking past Bitcoin. Sure, they dipped their toes in the water with the Bitcoin ETF, but now there's something new on the horizon. Something better, and they want that instead. You can bet BlackRock is paying close attention to this trend. That's exactly why we're most likely going to see a BlackRock XRP spot ETF sooner than later. Even the mainstream media is starting to shift their narrative now. Check this out.
Bitcoin now quoted at $101,000 per coin. It's not been doing well recently. Kevin knows something about this. My question is, why are stable coins doing so well and Bitcoin's not?
Well, I'll give you the tone of this year's Cantor conference, where really is ground zero for policy for the next 18 months on crypto. On the Tuesday founders dinner, it became clear the reason stablecoins are of such interest, and some even speculate it's taken the bloom off Bitcoin itself, is there now law. There's law backing it up. There's policy. That's called the Genius Act. But what's really driving it is people are seeing AI combining with phones so that retailers like Walmart or McDonald's or Target, you're just going to be talking to your phone and the transaction goes right into the retailer. You walk in and pick up your order without doing anything else. The challenge we have is we don't have any blockchain fast enough to process millions of orders, but the payment system is going to be stablecoin.
Here's something that should blow your mind. We actually do have a blockchain fast enough for what's coming. King Valix pointed out something crucial. AI doesn't have a blockchain fast enough to process millions of AI transactions. But wait, what about the Interledger protocol and XRP? Stephen Thomas mentioned over a decade ago that this technology is capable of processing trillions of transactions per second. Yeah, we already have that solution ready to go. Just wait until ILP goes live everywhere. I'm telling you right now, micropayments are going to be absolutely massive in the future. Picture this: people getting paid every minute, every hour, however they want to structure their income in the future. Plus, here's another game changer. You're never going to pay for subscriptions the old way again. Everything's moving toward pay-per-view, pay-as-you-go models. We're already stepping into this new era, and that's exactly why smart money is looking past Bitcoin. Like I've been saying, Bitcoin is eventually going to become irrelevant in this new financial landscape. And then there's this bombshell that just dropped, and the timing is no coincidence. Leaked emails have revealed that Jeffrey Epstein's money was used to finance Bitcoin core development. You know what? I remember about a year ago, maybe even longer. It might have been in one of my earlier videos where I called Bitcoin a pedophile coin, and immediately the comment section exploded with people saying, "Oh, you're just mad because Bitcoin's skyrocketing and XRP isn't." But here's what they completely missed. That wasn't what I was even talking about. I didn't care about the price at all. What I was pointing out was what Bitcoin is actually being used for. And now look what's happening. Why are they dropping this bombshell information right now? We're already seeing institutions looking past Bitcoin, and it's like they just keep hammering nail after nail into Bitcoin's coffin. Now let's talk about something really exciting happening with XRP. Get this, 149 million XRP rapidly left exchanges, signaling a major supply shock that's developing soon. Only 3.8 billion XRP remains on exchanges, which is massively increasing the chances of sharp price movements. Actually, there's even less today. It's under 3 billion. And every single day, we're seeing these kinds of headlines pop up everywhere. Are we about to witness the biggest scarcity event in crypto history? And it's happening with XRP. Here's the thing, once all the XRP disappears from exchanges, the price is going to change lightning fast. Plus, you've got all that XRP coming out of circulation because of those ETFs as well. Now, I've seen people say, well, Ripple will just dump more from escrow into the market. What they don't realize is you've got to wait for those monthly unlocks to happen. They happen on the 1st of every month. 1 billion tokens get unlocked, and Ripple usually locks back 700 or 800 million of those tokens. But here's the kicker. These ETFs could swallow up billions of those tokens incredibly fast. I still think the XRP ETFs are going to absolutely outperform the Bitcoin ETFs. So the question everyone's asking, is it time to buy? One analyst is saying get in before the switch happens. And honestly, it's always a good time to buy XRP. If you're buying now, you're still beating the institutions to this cryptocurrency. But here's your warning. Once that institutional wave hits XRP, then you'll be too late as a retail investor. I think prices are going to skyrocket when that happens. We're still in the early stages right now. We're still waiting on the Clarity Act. There are going to be more XRP treasuries created. You're going to see more companies jumping on board. Tokenization hasn't even arrived at scale yet. That's still coming too. But you are not too late until that institutional wave happens. If you're buying XRP today, you're still early. Here's something fascinating from Ripple CTO David Schwartz. He says there's no tax on the XRP ledger. You know what's really crazy? People don't think XRP has any real value unless there's some middleman making money off of it. But David Schwartz explained it perfectly. He said there really is no tax. You can use XRP to issue assets, trade them, issue NFTs, make payments, and so much more. The closest thing to a tax is the transaction fees and reserves that serve as anti-spam measures. The ledger is a public good that belongs to everyone. Nobody has any special right to charge you for using it. It's not owned or controlled by XRP holders in any sense. Holding XRP gives you XRP, full stop. Think of it like Bitcoin that somehow magically works without needing massive transaction fees to pay for energy requirements, and that also supports additional features like stablecoins, DEX functionality, NFTs, and so much more.
I don't get how people think there has to be somebody making money off of something for it to have actual utility.
XRP is going to be utilized all around the world in the very near future. I'm telling you, the day the banks come out of the testing phase on that private ledger, if you're holding XRP, you will most likely enter the 1% like an overnight event. You're going to get that rich, that quick. Finally, here's an interesting development. The US DOJ is pursuing North Korea's illicit money machine and has seized more crypto. Now, they said they seized more crypto, but what they actually seized was Tether, UST. The latest seizure of $50 million in UST adds to other recent digital asset confiscations from US authorities, raising questions about how these funds may relate to US plans to establish crypto reserves. And here's the pattern that's impossible to ignore. It's always Tether, it's always Bitcoin. Very rarely do you see XRP or any other legitimate cryptocurrency involved in all this illicit activity. Now, I've seen people saying today, and this is pure speculation, that those original Bitcoin holders who are selling off their Bitcoin right now might be on the Epstein list. Obviously, you can't confirm that, but I'm sure there were a lot of high-profile people obtaining Bitcoin back then at dirt cheap prices and using it for illicit activities. Despite all this chaos, here's what the mainstream is saying. Crypto's long-term fundamentals remain strong despite the market rout. Right now, the narrative is that the 4-year cycle is over and Bitcoin is up forever. Take a listen to what this analyst says. We talk about 4-year cycles, but the reality is that model is based on a bygone era of crypto. Since the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs and this new administration, we've entered a new market structure. New players, new dynamics, new reasons people buy and sell. I think there's a pretty good chance we've been in a bear market for almost 6 months now, and are almost through it. This setup for crypto right now has never been stronger. And he's absolutely right about that setup being strong. But it's not about Bitcoin anymore. Everybody keeps saying the 4-year cycle ended and Bitcoin is up forever. That's not the case. Bitcoin right now, in my opinion, is losing relevance. It's losing relevance to stablecoins. It's losing relevance because it lacks utility. And it's losing relevance because the entire narrative around it is changing. We now have gold in its tokenized form coming onto other networks. That completely ends the digital gold narrative. Bitcoin isn't even a good store of value. This cycle proved that. Every time there was tariff talk, Bitcoin came plummeting down. Crisis somewhere in the world? Bitcoin crashed. Even right now, people are talking about how you need to hedge against the US dollar. That's the new narrative for Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin, sell your dollars. But I'd rather get rid of my dollars and sink them into something that's already looked at as the future. XRP, XLM, HBAR, XDC, QNT, IOTA, Algo, Flare. I know these are the future. Because why would I take my money and put it into Bitcoin when you look at it and think, okay, what's it going to be utilized for a year from now? 2 years from now? What's going to happen with quantum computers? What's going to happen if Tether collapses? There's too much risk involved with Bitcoin right now. And I think the reason they're dropping that Jeffrey Epstein information about Bitcoin right now is because they know the end is near for Bitcoin's rise. I think this is most likely the last cycle you're going to see these price points. Sure, it's going to stick around. I'm sure it'll be worth maybe $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. But I don't think this narrative is going to hold up much longer. When institutions are already shifting away from it, it's time for retail to shift away from it as well. Because retail is not going to make any money buying Bitcoin today. Think about it. What are you going to get? Even if Bitcoin went to 200,000, okay, so you double your money. Well, you could put that same money into XRP, and if it pulls a 20x, 40x, 50x, all of a sudden you get life-changing money. You get financial freedom. There's a big difference in where we go from here, and I do believe the 4-year cycle is over. I think the utility cycle is coming, and there's a good chance that's happening during this alt season.